What you're about to hear will completely change how you see Hollywood celebrities forever. Picture this. It's a rainy Tuesday evening in Los Angeles. The kind of night where the city's neon lights blur into watercolor streaks on restaurant windows. Inside Romano's, an upscale Italian bistro in West Hollywood, the dinner rush is winding down. At table 7 sits Marcus Thompson, a 34-year-old Iraq War veteran. His right leg is gone below the knee. A roadside bomb took care of that 3 years ago. Tonight, he's celebrating something most people take for granted: his first job interview in 18 months. After battling PTSD and depression, Marcus finally feels ready to rejoin the world. He adjusts his prosthetic leg under the table and waves politely at the waiter. "Excuse me, could I get some service over here?" The waiter, let's call him Brad, barely glances over. He's 20-something. Perfectly styled hair. The kind of guy who moved to LA to become an actor but got stuck serving tables to pay rent. Brad sees the crutches leaning against Marcus's chair and immediately makes a face. "Sir, we have a dress code here," Brad says coldly, not even trying to hide his disdain. Marcus looks down at his clothes, a clean button-down shirt, his best khakis and polished shoes. One shoe, the other pant leg, is pinned up where his prosthetic connects. "I'm sorry, what's wrong with how I'm dressed?" Brad crosses his arms. "Look, this isn't McDonald's. We cater to a certain clientele. Maybe you'd be more comfortable somewhere else." The words hit Marcus like shrapnel. After everything he's been through, the bombs, the surgeries, the nightmares, this waiter is telling him he doesn't belong here because of his missing limb. But here's where it gets interesting. 3 tables away, sitting alone in a corner booth, is a man in a worn leather jacket and baseball cap pulled low. He's been quietly eating his pasta, minding his own business. Most people haven't noticed him, which is exactly how he likes it. It's Keanu Reeves. Now, Keanu wasn't eavesdropping, but in the quiet restaurant, voices carry. And what he just heard made him slowly put down his fork. Marcus's voice shakes as he responds to the waiter. "I served 3 tours in Iraq. I lost my leg protecting this country. All I want is to buy dinner." Brad shrugs with the casual cruelty that only comes from someone who's never faced real hardship. "Not my problem, buddy. You're making other customers uncomfortable. I'm going to have to ask you to leave." That's when Keanu stands up. He doesn't storm over. He doesn't make a scene. He simply walks calmly to Marcus's table, pulls out the chair across from him, and sits down. "Mind if I join you?" Keanu asks Marcus quietly. Marcus looks up, confused. He doesn't immediately recognize the man in the baseball cap, but there's something in his eyes, kindness, respect, that Marcus hasn't seen in a long time. I guess." Brad approaches the table, annoyed. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to return to your table." This man was just leaving. Keanu finally looks up at Brad, and for the first time the waiter sees his face clearly. The color drains from Brad's cheeks. "Actually," Keanu says calmly, "we're both staying, and we'd like to see your manager." "Mr. Reeves, I didn't realize." "Look, this is just a misunderstanding." "No misunderstanding," Keanu interrupts. "You told this veteran he doesn't belong here because of his prosthetic leg. A leg he lost serving our country. Is that your restaurant's policy?" The entire restaurant has gone silent. Other diners are pulling out phones, sensing something important is happening. The manager, Tony Romano, rushes over. He's a kind Italian man in his 60s, who built this restaurant from nothing. "Mr. Reeves, what seems to be the problem?" Before Keanu can answer, Marcus speaks up. "Your waiter refused to serve me because of my prosthetic leg." Tony's face goes white, then red with anger. "Brad, is this true?" Brad stammers, knowing his job is already gone. He didn't look like he belonged." "Get out," Tony roars. "You're fired. Clear out your locker and never come back." As Brad slinks away, Tony turns to Marcus with tears in his eyes. "Sir, I am so sorry. My father came to this country with nothing. He taught me that everyone deserves respect, especially those who sacrifice for others. But Keanu isn't done. He quietly asks Marcus, "What branch of the military?" "Army, 82nd Airborne." Keanu nods respectfully. "My father served too. Different war, same courage." Then Keanu does something that makes every phone camera in the restaurant start recording. He stands up, extends his hand to Marcus, and when Marcus reaches out to shake it, Keanu doesn't let go. Instead, he looks directly into Marcus's eyes and says, "Thank you for your service. And I'm sorry that anyone ever made you feel like you don't belong anywhere in this country you fought to protect." The restaurant erupts in applause, but Keanu's not finished. He sits back down and flags Tony over. "Tony, I want to buy this man's dinner, and every meal he wants here for the next year." "Mr. Reeves, that's incredibly generous. But," and Keanu continues, "I want you to hire him." Everyone freezes. "Hire him?" Tony asks. Marcus looks shocked. "Sir, you don't even know me. I haven't worked in restaurants." Keanu turns to Marcus. "You led soldiers in combat. You made life and death decisions under pressure. You think you can't handle restaurant management?" Tony's eyes light up. "You know what? He's right. I've been looking for an assistant manager, someone with leadership experience." He looks at Marcus. "You interested?" Marcus can barely speak. "Are you serious?" "Dead serious." Tony says, "When can you start?" 3 months later, Marcus is thriving at Romano's. He's not just an employee. He's become Tony's right-hand man, implementing new systems and training staff. The restaurant has never run better. But here's the part that will blow your mind. Keanu still comes in every Tuesday. Same corner booth, same quiet demeanor. But now he and Marcus have become genuine friends. They talk about motorcycles, philosophy, and Marcus's progress with his PTSD. One Tuesday evening, as Marcus is closing up, he asks Keanu something that's been bothering him. "Why did you help me that night? You could have just stayed in your booth." Keanu is quiet for a long moment. Then he says, "You know what I've learned after all these years in Hollywood? Everyone's fighting a battle you know nothing about. Everyone deserves kindness. Everyone deserves dignity." He pauses, looking out at the rain-streaked windows. "But you literally fought battles most of us can't imagine. You sacrificed your body for strangers. The idea that someone would treat you as less than because of that sacrifice." Keanu shakes his head. "That's not just wrong, it's evil." Marcus nods, understanding. "Besides," Keanu adds with a small smile, "my publicist always tells me I need to get out more and meet people. That night, I met someone worth knowing." They both laugh. 6 months after that night, Marcus had saved enough money to put a down payment on his own apartment. A year later, he was promoted to general manager. 2 years later, he met Sarah, a nurse at the VA hospital, and they fell in love. At their wedding, guess who showed up as an unexpected guest? Keanu Reeves, carrying a simple gift, a handwritten note that read, "To Marcus and Sarah, true strength isn't about what you've lost. It's about how you choose to live with what remains. Congratulations on choosing love." The story went viral, but not because of Keanu's celebrity status. It went viral because it reminded people of something we seem to have forgotten: how we treat others in their lowest moments. Reveals who we really are. That waiter Brad, he never worked in restaurants again. Word spread quickly in the industry about what he'd done. Last anyone heard, he'd moved back to Ohio to work in his father's insurance office. But Marcus now owns 3 Romano's locations across Los Angeles. He employs over 40 people, including several veterans who struggled to find work after their service. And every Tuesday at every location, there's a reserved corner booth, a quiet place where anyone who needs a moment of peace can sit undisturbed. The placard on the table reads, "Reserved for heroes. You know who you are." Keanu still visits, not for the publicity or the photos. He comes because Marcus has become one of his closest friends. They ride motorcycles together on weekends. They volunteer at the VA hospital. They've created a nonprofit that helps disabled veterans find employment. The most beautiful part, none of this was planned. It started with one moment of human decency in a restaurant where a waiter forgot that every person has value. It continued because a celebrity remembered that fame means nothing if you don't use it to lift others up. And it flourished because a veteran refused to let one person's cruelty define his worth. The next time you see someone struggling, someone different, someone who doesn't fit your idea of normal, remember Marcus. Remember that night at Romano's. Remember that how you treat people in their darkest moments defines not just who you are, but who you choose to become. Because somewhere out there, someone is watching, someone is listening, someone is deciding whether this world is worth believing in. Be the reason they choose hope. What would you have done in that restaurant that night? Let me know in the comments below.